55% disapprove. Safe to say there are hits and misses with the administration so far this second time around. Some policies are still working themselves out. How do folks at home feel? Joining us, a panel of voters this morning. Rhonda Fulganetti is a Democratic voter. Daryl Triplett is an independent voter. And Mitch Robson is a recent college graduate. Great to see you guys. We spoke to you during the election cycle as we were taking a pulse and a temperature on how people felt going into the election. Well, we're 100 days in, and it's fun to be able to review how things are going based on Trump in office. Rhonda, I want to start with you. And when we last spoke in October, you said the two biggest issues for you were immigration and women's rights. Polls have shown that both of those are very strong issues for the president as well. New NBC News Stay Tuned poll says 49% of Americans approve of how he's handling border security and immigration, 51% disapprove. Where do you fall in this poll, Rhonda?
Currently, I disapprove because I think that the border goes beyond just normal immigration that we're seeing down our southern border. I mean, he's talking about now taking over Canada, taking over Greenland, and affecting other parts of our country where we've had allies for decades. So I think that's a very concerning issue for me, is it's not just what's happening at our southern border, but our northern border and out towards Greenland. In addition to that, you know, what are we talking about when we're saying we're controlling the border? We're controlling the flow maybe coming in. But what's happening on television, what we're seeing, students being absconded from their college campuses, people who they admit, the administration admits, should not have been deported, are now stuck in a prison where the conditions are just horrific. So I think it's right now a fail. I understand what the president is trying to do. I understand that the policies right now are to try to get control of our southern border, which I appreciate. But I just think the way we're going about it right now is not effective universally.
I appreciate that. All right, Daryl, let's chat with you here for a moment. When we spoke in September, again, you're an independent voter. You said back then that the economy was one of the most important issues for you at that time, high inflation and the cost of groceries. We have another poll to share with our viewers at home. This is a New York Times Siena College poll released Friday. Half of registered voters said they feel that Trump has made the economy worse since he took office. 27% say the economy is about the same. 21% said he has made it better. How would you rate the president so far on the state of the economy, especially today, given some of the tariff talks?
You know, again, it's 100 days into this. We did not get into this mess of our economy in 100 days, right? So I think that in the interest of fairness, I think you have to give the president some time to go in there and really hash things out. I think we're seeing some movement with Dodge as far as uncovering some of the wasteful spending that we've been doing for decades and decades in this company, and they're bringing it to light. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to accommodate everybody. Everybody's not going to be happy with you. But again, like I said, it's a short period of time. It's 100 days the man's been in office. How long has this country been in existence? So I do believe that you have, in the interest of being fair, you have to give them some time to go in there and really work these things out. And like I said, with looking at the uncovering of some of the things that they found in Dodge is just unbelievable. And it just makes you shake your head as an American and say, no wonder why we're having an economic crisis in this country.
So give him the benefit of the doubt. Daryl, how long would you say, at what point would you measure success over the course of the next 4 years?
I mean, like I said, how long will we have this issue of our economy being messed up? And I'm not saying the whole 4 years. I'm not saying 2 years. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that with his first 100 days in office, and you got to think this man has signed over 100 executive orders. And I think that beats out Teddy D. Roosevelt. I think he did like 99 in his first 100 days in office or whatnot. So I think that we just have to be fair. Yeah, it's easy to complain and sit back and point the finger and this and that. But at the end of the day, I think that we have to give him a chance to do his job. And I think that being an independent voter, I think that they're doing the best with what they have to work with. Yeah, you're not going to be able to make everyone happy. We knew that coming into this thing, and I'm hearing about the tariffs and things like that. Yes, it's going to affect businesses. I'm a small business owner myself, but again, we're going to have to do something better than what we've been doing because we've been the laughing stock of the world for forever.
Well, thank you for that. Mitch, let me get to you. You graduated from college. Congratulations. As we look at the president's first 100 days, what is your assessment on the issues most important to you?
Well, I completely agree with Daryl about giving President Trump the benefit of the doubt on the actual results that he's achieved. It would be premature to assess him, based on his results, but I do think it's completely fair to judge him based on the trends he is heading in. What results do I think he is going to create or not create based on the trend set in the first 100 days? And I do think things are not trending economically from a spending standpoint where I would want them to be. I think, Daryl mentioned Doge. I think Doge has downwardly revised how much it expects to be able to cut by 85%. So you have a lackluster production from Doge in terms of what it's projecting. You have Trump has announced proposed increases in discretionary spending while not touching non-discretionary spending. And, at the present moment, we're running just as large, pretty much of a deficit as last year. So there's plenty of time to get these things cleaned up. But between that and seeing Trump, push for the same CR in Congress that is funding all of these programs that Doge is identifying as being not worth a squeeze, looking at those trends, I think there's plenty of time for Trump to reverse those trends and produce better results. But at the present moment, I'm not super confident, at least on the economic front, that it'll be anything significantly better than the status quo.
Okay, appreciate your perspective. I want to get each of your thoughts on some of the news that came out of the 100 days press briefing this morning, and that is Amazon tagging the price that a tariff will add to the cost of a good that you buy on the website. The White House immediately saying this was a hostile political move. Rhonda, let me start with you. Would you be less willing to buy something if it were made in China versus the U.S., or are you willing to pay more for something made in the U.S.? And what do you make of Amazon tagging on the tariff cost?
Well, I think it's important for the American people to know what they're paying, right? So if the cost of the product is $5 and then it's $2 additional for a tariff, I think we have the right to know that. I think that the unfortunate part of this is we're going to have to pay whatever it is. So whether it's made in China, we don't have manufacturing plants in the United States right now that can, get the supply chain back up in any period of time. So the reality is we're going to have to buy things from China and Vietnam and all over Europe. And right now we're the laughing stock. So I appreciate what the other people on the panel are saying, but this man was president for 4 years already. I was open to him. As you know, I was an undecided voter last summer. And I think what we're seeing is just fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of chaos. And I would not, at this point, I don't think we have a choice. And so I wouldn't be in a position to say, would I buy it for China or not? The question is, can anybody afford anything right now, whether it be the grocery store or the person you had on before us who's trying to develop her own business. And now she's saying that she won't be able to survive it without increasing costs and things like that. So if we're going to take a look at what he's doing with his economic plan, the reality is we're all going to have to pay more. An example of that is I bought an iPhone 2 weeks ago, and it was $180 more than it was 2 weeks prior to that. So cars are going up, bananas are going up, all of our commodities are going up. And that's just a reality at the grocery store and everywhere else. So I think the White House and the briefings they're providing are based on loose facts at that. I think they need to go shop at the grocery store, go on Amazon, and see what's happening with the prices right now.
Yep. And I want to point out that hasn't happened on Amazon yet. I was on myself this morning, and now we have
Right.
this from Amazon, and this is being reported through the Washington Post. And this is, quote, the team that runs our ultra low cost Amazon haul store has considered listing import charges on certain products. This was never a consideration for the main Amazon site, and nothing has been implemented on any Amazon property. So it sounds like even that is still getting worked out. Daryl, let me have you weigh in on this. You said as a small business owner, there is a trickle-down effect. What do you make of this Amazon debate? And just more importantly, how small businesses weather what's happening economically?
Listen, we're going to feel the brunt of it. And that's just that, it's like Rhonda said, I don't, we're in a position now to where everything is going through the roof already. As far as the president using tariffs sort of as a negotiation tactic with these other countries, I think there's something to be said about that. But again, I think that we just have to hunker down. And like I said, as a small business, I have to look at just more than just me and how this just affects me. I have to think about the rest of the country and what's the big plan here? What's the goal? What are we trying to reach here? And like I said, before, and I've always said this, that we've been the laughing stock of other countries for forever. We've given billions and billions of dollars away to other countries for forever. And it's time for America to start thinking about America first. And if tariffs are a negotiation tool in order to get back to that, then I'll hunker down and bear the brunt of it for right now. But the definition of his insanity is doing something the same way and expecting a different result. So we have to look at all means that's on the table.
Rhonda, Daryl, Mitch, I'm out of time, but thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thanks, Marnie.
Appreciate your guys' perspective on all these important issues. And Mitch, you'll go first next time since I ran
Nice
out of
to see
time.
everyone.
All right, take care. Still ahead.